Review of the top stories from the past week. Europe's Airbus to buy majority stake in Bombardier C Series program. European aircraft giant Airbus Group is shaking up the global airline business by buying a majority stake in Bombardier's C Series program and assembling the plane in the US to avoid import duties. The two aircraft manufacturers announced the partnership Monday evening, weeks after the United States announced 300% preliminary duties on exports of the aircraft following a complaint from Airbus rival Boeing. The partnership is expected to result in significant C Series production cost savings by leveraging Airbus's global supply chain expertise, but the company won't be paying any money for the acquired stake or absorb Bombardier's large debt. Airbus will acquire a 50.01% interest in the C Series Aircraft Limited Partnership, which manufactures and sells the plane in exchange for access to Airbus's sales, logistics, procurement and support expertise. Bombardier will own 31%, and the Quebec government's investment agency will hold 19%, down from 49.5% when it invested $1 billion in the program. Alison Haynes put pedestrians front and center in election campaign. Cycling has taken a prominent place in the 2017 Montreal mayoral race. For good reason. Two cyclists have died tragically in this election season. A woman was killed by a school bus at Parc des Princes. On the eve of the campaign, Clement Ouimet, an elite cyclist, died when a vehicle made an illegal U-turn on Mount Royal, driving right into his path as he descended a steep incline at a fast clip. Cyclists have been organizing and mobilizing for years as a force to be reckoned with. More power to them. But now it's time for pedestrians to follow suit, to stand up and demand the rights and recognition they deserve. In many cases, cyclists and pedestrians have common cause. In others, they might have competing interests. In any case, the needs of both groups need to be given greater weight by the next city administration, as Montreal is, hopefully, transformed into a safer, less congested, healthier, and greener modern city. As I have often written, I mainly get around Montreal on foot. I am too nervous to bike and too impatient to drive, so the plight of the pedestrian is an issue dear to my heart. Montreal election, Fortier to suspend mayoral campaign, endorse Project Montreal's plant. Montreal mayoral candidate Jean Fortier is set to announce he is endorsing Project Montreal's Valerie plant for mayor, the Montreal Gazette has learned. Fortier, who launched his campaign in late September as an alternative to incumbent Dennis Coderre and main challenger plant, will remain on the ballot as mayoral candidate for Coalition Montreal, sources told the newspaper. However, he is expected to make the unusual move of announcing at a press conference on Wednesday that he's suspending his mayoral campaign and endorsing rival plant for the position, they said. Project Montreal issued a press release late in the day to announce that plant will hold a press conference on Wednesday morning to make an important announcement concerning the forces in the Montreal election campaign. The election is on November 5th. We are in a free and democratic society, Quebec Premier Philippe Couillard says. You speak to me, I should see your face, and you should see mine. It's as simple as that. Jacques Voisin at the Canadian Press. Public services should be given and received with an open face, Couillard. Just as a person riding a bus will have to leave their face uncovered, so will a student writing an exam in a university as the province's new state neutrality bill became law Wednesday. The same goes for a person wearing a balaclava with dark sunglasses, or a bandana trying to get onto a bus, or taking a book out of a public library or arriving at a hospital emergency ward. As the National Assembly Wednesday adopted Bill 62, the law was adopted by a 66-51 vote. Quebec Justice Minister Stéphanie Volley and Premier Philippe Couillard went to bat to defend the law, which will require uncovered faces for people giving a public service or receiving it. Concretely, that means, once the bill has royal sanction and becomes law, public workers, doctors, teachers and daycare workers have to refrain from covering their faces, as do the people getting the services. The bill has languished on the order paper since 2015, while politicians indulged in ideological warfare and voters fumed. Quebec, in fact, becomes the first jurisdiction in North America to pass legislation of this nature, Couillard noted in a short encounter with reporters in the hallway moments after the bill sailed into law. Two women, two veils, Montrealers speak of their choice to wear niqab. Warden Eiley, nee Marie Michel, only ventures outside the house once a week, usually to do groceries. She rarely takes the bus and doesn't depend on libraries for her reading material. But the new law, that makes her persona non grata on public transit and in other public spaces will affect her and an unknown number of niqab-wearing women in Quebec in unpredictable and frightening ways. Already, the 33-year-old Montrealer never leaves the house without telling her mother where she's going and when she'll be back, making sure she has her fully charged cell phone with her, just in case. Wearing the hijab ensured a certain frequency of glares and insults from passers-by. Then, in 2011 she began to wear the full-face veil, and the attacks escalated. Once she was in a parking lot at a shopping mall in East End, Montreal. Not for the first time, a man pretended to press on the gas as she walked by. But this man lost control of his vehicle and almost ran her over. When you see the accumulation of negative comments on social media, you think you're a target, Eiley says. You are the prey. You're afraid to look behind you in case someone's following you and will attack you. I am QUA_BA_quaz, Warden Eiley says. I speak French. I am proud of my language and my people. But my people reject me. Dave Sidaway, Montreal Gazette. Time crunch faces builders of new Champlain Bridge. A tight timetable has gotten even tighter for builders of the new $4.24 billion Champlain Bridge. In the last 2 years, Signature on the St. Lawrence, the consortium building the new bridge, has endured 2 strikes and an altered plan to deliver its materials because of weight load restrictions on the old bridge. Instead of transporting most of the materials for the bridge by truck, the consortium has had to use barges pulled on a winch through the St. Lawrence River's heavy current. So this fall, builders added another work shift to the day and added weekend shifts as well. The work site now runs 6 days a week for roughly 20 hours per day. Daniel Genest, the director of coordination for Signature on the St. Lawrence, said without those measures, the project would be delivered 6 months behind its December 1, 2018, deadline. SSL will be penalized $100,000 per day for every day it is late for the first week and $400,000 per day for every day after that point.